Okay, so section 8.4 on this unit is on purchasing a home. Our objective is we're going to talk about the different fees that must be paid during closing cost. And we are going to identify the prepaid interest that needs to be paid during closing cost. All right, some of the terms that we will cover, or some of the costs that are covered in closing costs, or when you purchase a home. Some of them are recurring and some of them are non-recurring. Recurring cost means that they happen multiple times, and it could be on a monthly basis, or twice a month, or a yearly basis. Other costs are non-recurring costs, and those are the type of costs that you pay once, such as the prepaid cost, the fees to the lender, uh, to the real estate agent, and different things. Okay, some key vocabulary. Oh, and that's what I was just talking about. Some of the recurring costs include mortgage, property taxes, and insurance. Most of these are paid on a monthly basis. Depending on the bank, they could require you to pay the property taxes and then monthly bill. Others might not require to pay taxes there, so you have to pay them twice a year on a bigger amount. Then the non-recurring costs include moving costs, closing costs, and the ones that I was just talking about. Uh, Closing. It's the meeting that attends the buyer, the seller, and the attorneys, or a representative from the lending institution. A lot of the times, as a buyer, you don't go. It like just the person who's representing you attends this meeting. But then you do have to meet with your lender. That is the person who is helping you finance the loan and dealing with all the financial aspects of this situation. So that way you can sign all the paperwork that goes into there. Okay. Then we have different closing costs. One of them is like the earnest deposit, money deposit, which once you put in an offer and it's accepted, then you have to put in a deposit where you pretty much say like, oh, you're putting that money to say that you have like you actually want to go on and purchase the house. A lot of the times that is applied towards the end, towards the closing cost, like all the money that you have to pay once the deal is done. Um, I know that a lot of the times, if you decide that you know what, in the middle of the process, you want to back down and say, never mind, I don't want this house anymore. They don't give the money back. That's money that they decide to keep. Then we have attorney fees. These are the fees that are paid on to the attorney representing you or the seller and the closing cost of the sale. Then there is the organization fee. It's a money that paid to the lending institution for the paperwork involved in the loan application process. Okay, so that's when you go to the person who it's helping you. That's the money basically that you have to pay them. Then you also have to pay for title, which is the legal claim of the property ownership. And before they can change the owners, a title search is conducted to make sure that the seller does not actually hold the title to the property being sold. Holds the title to the property that he or she is claiming to sell. Okay, and we have here more closing costs. There's something that we call points, and there's extra fees charged by the lending institution for the use of their money. Okay, so some companies have include this as extra fees when they're when they're closing the sale, when they're getting ready to sign the paperwork and say that you now are the owner of the house. Then there's origination points are collected from the buyer as a means of paying for the loan application process. Then there's the discount points, which those can be purchased to reduce the interest rate. So, like for example, if your interest rate is at a 4.9, but you want a lower interest rate, then that's what you pretty much are buying the discount points so that the price goes down. Then we have prepaid interest, and that is the uh, mortgages interest that can occurred from the date of closing to when the first mortgage payment is due. Interest on the mortgage starts at the beginning of the month. So on a monthly basis, um, let's say that you close your sale on the 15th of March. Well, there is a total of 31 days on March. So you still have to pay the interest on the house for the 16th through the 31st. Okay? Like you might not be paying for the first 15 days, but you have to pay interest for the rest of the month for the 16 days. And that's one of the big parts of today's lesson that we're going to be focusing on. How to find prepaid prepaid interest. And I believe this is the last vocabulary term is transfer tax. It is the fee that is charged for the transfer of the title from the seller to the buyer. Here we have example number one. And example number one says Aaliyah and Josh are buying a $600,000 home. They have been approved for a 7.25% APR mortgage. They made a 15% down payment and will be closing on September 6th. How much should they expect to pay in prepaid interest at the closing? Okay, so for this, there's a couple things that we need to do. Um, and here we have the price of the house is $600,000. Now their APR, their percentage APR is 7.25%. They need to make a down payment of 15%. Now that means that their loan is not going to be for 600,000. So we need to actually find what their loan is going to be. Okay, so in order to do that, uh, we're going to multiply 600,000 by the 15%. But I'm gonna put it on 0.15 since it's a percentage. And if I put this on decimals, that is going to give me $90,000. Okay? So this means that their down payment is going to be for $90,000. That is one of the things that they have to pay in closing costs. Okay, the down payment. Okay, now if in order for me to find the actual loan amount, I need to subtract that from the price of the house. So 600,000 minus the 90,000, that gives me a total of 51,000, 50, 51,000. Sorry, 51,000, 510,000 That's more like it. And $510,000. Okay, so their loan is going to be for $510,000. Now, in order for us to find their yearly interest, which is something that we're talking about here, because it says prepaid interest. Okay, so we need to find the interest that they're paying on a for on the daily basis. So to help us with that, we are going to use the simple interest formula. I don't know if you remember. It's the when we grab the principal, multiply by the interest rate, and multiply by the time. Okay, so that's what we need. That's the formula that we're going to be using. Okay, that's it. Simple interest formula. And my principal, well, it's the loan amount, which is 510,000. 510,000 multiplied by the interest rate, which is 0.0725, and multiplied by 1 year. 1 year. Okay, that gives me a total of, once I put all this into decimals, it gives me $36,975. Okay, so for on the year, on each year, Leah and Josh are going to be paying $36,975 on interest. Okay, that's on just the interest that they're going to be paying. Okay, now since we want to know the interest that they're going to be paying from September 7th to September 30th, we need to find the amount of money that the interest earns each day. So I need to do 336,975 divided by 365. This is the number of days in a year. And that's going to give me $101 with 30 cents. So this means that Leah and Josh are going to be paying $101 with 30 cents each day on interest. Okay, but our problem was asking for September. If they're closing on September 6th, then they have to pay interest from September 7th to September 30th, which is a total of 24 days. So now I'm going to grab their daily interest, 101.30 multiplied by the 24, and that gives me 2,431 with 20 cents. So now we can say that Leah and Josh will pay a total of $2,431 with 20 cents in prepaid interest. And example 2 says how much will be charged in prepaid interest on a 400,000 loan with an APR of 6% that closed on December 17. Okay, now the difference between this example and the previous one is that here they had to make a 15% down payment, and we needed to do this extra step in order to find the amount of money that they have to um, basically get on the loan. But on this one, they're already giving us the loan amount. They're saying $400,000 is the loan amount with an APR of 6%. Okay, so we have to find how much interest they're charging on a daily so that we can determine how much they pay from December 18 all the way to December 31st. Okay, so our first step at this moment then would be to multiply the loan amount, which is 400,000, by the interest rate, and then by one the time. So we're again using our simple interest formula. Okay, that says the principal multiplied by the interest rate multiplied by time. And this again it's going to give us the interest rate, or the amount of interest that these people are going to pay each year. Okay, which is $24,000. If you put this on decimals, it should be 24,000. Now, this is for the whole year. So what we need to do now is find the interest for each day. Get that that's this if I put a comma. Okay, so 365, which gives me a total of $65.75. So this means that each day uh, this loan is going to need to be paid a total of $65.75 on interest. Okay, so we are wanting to determine the closing cost from December, or the interest from December 18th all the way to December 31st, which is a total of 14 days. So if you go and count 18, 19, 20, 21, all the way to 30, all the way to 31, then you get 14. So we need to find the interest on 14 days. This means that I need to multiply my daily interest, 65.75, by 14. And that gives me a total of 920 with 50 cents. Okay, so now, oh, no. So now I can actually say that the total interest, prepaid interest for this loan is $920 with 50 cents. And example 3 says Leah and Josh know that they will have to bring their checkbook to closing costs. What might they expect to pay in total at closing? Okay, so the general rule is that when you go and basically, give the check to pay for closing costs, it should be anywhere between 2% and 7%. Okay, so in order for us to answer this question, we have to use this metrics between 2% and 7%. And this is going back to example number 1, where we were introduced to Leah and Josh. Okay, so 2% and 7% of the price of the house. Okay, so the price of their house for Leah and Josh was, I believe, $60,000. So the price was 600,000. That was the price of the house. So we need to find what is 2% and 7% of this. Okay, so let's find that. 600,000 multiplied by 0.02 gives me, if I put this on Desmos, I get a total of 12,000. For the next one, the 7% bracket or end of the interval, I have to multiply again the 600,000 by 0.07, and that gives me 42,000. So with that, then we can say that Leah and Josh can expect to pay between $12,000 and 42,000 in closing costs.